Hi everyone, this is Benjy. It's really good to have you here. I wanted to just turn on the camera and have a very candid discussion about the billion-dollar question, the big question on everyone's mind, which is about the blessing and what is it actually going to take? I don't want to get into just, what is the blessing, what the value of the blessing? We know the value of the blessing, and for a lot of us that have had really transformative experiences, like myself, who I have nothing without the blessing. My children, my wife, my parents, everything I have, my community, everything I have is thanks to true parents and the blessing. And this is not a discussion about how valuable it is. I think for a lot of people, the blessing has been truly transformative, and that's the reason why I'm trying to create more of a culture of sharing how incredibly beautiful it can be for our lives. But there's a huge roadblock in this process that I want to address here. And this is basically after talking with so many people in the last months, especially in the last few weeks, with Dr. Young and with Naokimi-san about the how exactly we're going to be blessing 30,000, basically the entire world, right? I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking 40, 50, 60, 100 years from now. What is our impact now? And how does the blessing affect our culture and our world in many, many decades from now for my grandchildren to come? And this is a huge question, but the question always comes up with when I'm sharing this with people is the hesitation, the question of, is this possible? Is it actually possible to have an overturn of the entire world, to bring the entire world into God's realm, to bless the entire world? True Mother's talking about 1/3 of the world population, guys. We're talking about 30,000 people blessed in the next 7 years. That is not an easy feat. That is like world transforming. That is history changing momentum we're talking about. That is a total overturn of every aspect of the world, from politics to religion to the internet in particular, which I'm interested in. That is a huge undertaking that we're talking about. So the question still remains, is that possible? And if you know what I've been sharing recently, if you watch the videos, which I'll put some more videos down below that I've been sharing more about this, if you're curious about that, I think it is possible. And this is not just me saying it because I'm trying to just unite and be obedient and whatever. I personally am the least qualified person to say that things are possible. I'm often the most skeptical when it comes to goals and big visions, but something in me changed recently, and something particularly listening to and meeting with Dr. Young and his vision and his and especially my work recently over the last 7 years working with the Blessing and Family Ministry, and also my work with High Noon, which I think I have been able to see the gaps in our thinking, the gaps that we have, the opportunities we have to learn and to grow, but also the incredible opportunities and the incredible things that are currently happening right now. I'm talking beautiful, beautiful blessings and families that people are creating right now through the teachings of the Divine Principle and True Parents' Words. But not only that, but through actualizing what true parents are talking about. Actualizing what true parents are talking about, the ideal family, the ideal for sex, God's vision for love and sex and intimacy in people's lives. People who are living that right now. I have experienced it in my own life, and what I'm saying, what I'm proposing is that this world-changing approach that True Mother is talking about is only possible, get this, when we ourselves experience the fulfillment and the power of the blessing in our own lives. That is it. That is the only way. And that is why I'm so invested in what the Blessing and Family Ministry is in doing, and what High Noon is doing, and what our family-fed community is doing. I believe 100%. I have seen it in my life. I have seen it in other people's lives from so many times over the years, that the more we experience the fulfillment of the blessing, it becomes infinitely easier to scream it from the mountaintops and invite other people to do that. And people are drawn to that and attracted to that, right? I envision that in the next 7 years, in the next 20, 40 years, that when people get that the blessing is something that is far beyond what anyone has ever seen in history. True parents are talking about this idea, chamkajong, the ideal family that we're creating. No one has ever seen it in all of history. We're always comparing, this and that, and like, oh, this family's great and that family's great, and comparing basically, apples and oranges. No one has ever seen an entire group of people break through the ceiling break through the roof in terms of what's possible for happiness and real love and genuine happiness in our lives and marriages and with our children. No one has seen it until now, until the blessing, until now. And I believe that if we invest our whole hearts in developing the quality of our blessing, the quality of our families, and I know for a fact everyone would agree with this 100%. But when we change our mentality from a quantity-centered mentality to a quality-centered mentality, then the quantity is there. Then people will be instantly like, wow, these people who do all sorts of interesting things like a blessing ceremony, and they're paying money to receive the blessing and paying money to not have sex for 40 days. Like, that's crazy. But they're having incredible sex relations and incredible families and incredible marriages and incredible relationships with their kids, and they're breaking the ceiling for what's possible. That is incredible, and everyone will be drawn to that. I guarantee it. And this is the only way to do that. If we can package our lives and get our lives together and be all of us as Family Federation members, be on this process, regardless of, I don't care if you're a first generation, second generation, whoever it is, everyone is excited about this and everyone can get on board with this. We don't currently have a streamlined process for everyone and whoever receives the blessing to go through the process to experience true love and liveliness and education their entire lives. We're currently working on it right now, so don't worry. But until now, it's always been people finding their own programs and initiatives and doing their things on their own, such as joining the Energize retreat or doing the marriage course or joining High Noon. There are seriously transformative things happening there. But we haven't really been able to break through the ceiling as a whole, as an entire family community. And as soon as we can do that, and as soon as every single individual, like myself, is shouting from the rooftops, our own roof, saying, I'm a blessed individual, I'm a blessed central family, and it's incredible, and our relationship is awesome, I'm the happiest person in the world. That's the vision I have. Instead of seeing flags in our blessed families, and if you go to a blessed family's house, you see the flag, family flag. Instead, we're going to have people screaming, men and women together, screaming from the tops of mountains and the rooftops, just how amazing and happy their family is. But even if, as I'm sharing this, I'm sure that a lot of you are thinking, is that even possible? I've seen this in the eyes of so many people I've talked to at every level, from people, friends of mine, people my age, to first generation, to leaders in our movement. It's like, is it really possible? So another way to answer the question, is it possible, is, do we have what it takes? Do we have already what we need to do this? Well, we don't have to look anywhere further than our own true parents' words. True Father himself, before he passed away, said, it is done. Everything has been completed, accomplished. True Father, True Mother have given everything that we need. All the words that we need, all the textbooks we need, all the hundoke we need is already there. Not only is the text there, not only is the content there, we have the people. We have the passion. We have the skills. We have incredibly skilled and passionate people to be able to create this massive overturn of the internet, of the world, to turn everything into God's side. It is not going to work from the institutions of the top down. I'm talking about the institutions of Hollywood or the institutions of the big tech or the news companies or anything like that. It's not going to happen because that's not the direction that the internet and the world is going right now. It's not. This kind of thing, life-changing experience, is not picked up by news headlines. You don't hear headlines about how incredible people's marriages and sex relationships and families are and how they're growing in their faith and they're just experiencing true joy and happiness. That is not a headline that you find on the news or CNN or wherever. But what does pick up and what the world does listen to is personal experience and testimony. And people will bend over backwards to figure out what you're doing if you have that experience. And people will pay money for that. And when we can get to a point where people say, the blessing is $2,000, that's it. I will just take my money. I want what you have. I want to go through that program. I want to go through that experience because that is awesome. And I want that. Take my money. When we get there, then the sky's the limit. Personally, in the last few weeks, I bought a course, a parenting course for $500, right? It's the Real Love Parenting course for $500. I never thought I would buy a course for $500. I don't think I'm doing very, very bad at parenting. I think I'm a pretty good a parent. My kids are fairly young, but I bought this course. You know why? Because people around me, my family in particular, my friends, were saying how incredible this course was and how amazing their relationships with their kids and with their spouse have been since they started adopting these principles in this course. So I was like, well, okay, I didn't think I needed this, but now it sounds like there's a ceiling that I'm hitting, and I can break through that as soon as I'm willing to invest in myself a little bit. And when we get there, guys, when we can create a culture shift, a paradigm shift, to see every single person in the world, as Dr. Young has said, every person in the world we should see as true parents' child. True parents are not my parents, my true parents. True parents are the true parents of humanity, which means we have to be able to create content for ourselves and for everybody. And this is what I'm trying to get to, when we are on fire about creating quality relationships within our own families, within our own selves, gaining the self-mastery and the integrity and the character and the honesty within ourselves, then the results are just exponential. And I'm not talking about if this, then that. If I do this, then I'll be able to witness, which is the typical mindset that we generally have, right? Is as soon as I can, have a testimony of how amazing the blessing is, then I'll be able to share it. No, I'm talking about our objective needs to change to how can I create a quality relationship, not just now in my life, but for my entire lineage, for decades and generations to come. Because the investment that you put in yourself as a human being, as a man or woman, into your relationship with your parents, with your spouse, with your child, with your community, with your neighbor, those relationships last forever. Those relationships last forever, and there's no doubt about it. And we can't be thinking about if this, then that as a condition. Is what can I unconditionally do for myself and for my future generations, for my children to come, to invest in something that is way bigger than any of this. Even recently, Naokimi-san gave a sermon on Sunday. If you remember, he said that if Jesus Christ, he gave a sermon on Easter Sunday. If Jesus Christ had completed his task, he became married, received the blessing, had a family, and everything was good, how long would it take for world salvation to take place? According to True Father, at least about 600 years. 600 years from the time of Jesus, right? Considering that, if that made you think like, how long would that take after True Parents? Well, considering that Jesus had basically his only form of transport was by donkey or by running. There was really, and they didn't have internet or telephones or anything like that. We could easily expedite that 600 years to 40 years, 20 years even, easily. I'm talking, but the thing is, we got to be united. We've got to have a clear vision, and we've got to be able to invest in ourselves, and we've got to be able to be unafraid to share our testimony, to share our experience, and share the transformation we're having. We don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. We're not talking about perfection. Happiness does not lie in perfection. Happiness lies in growth and honesty, and realizing that we're not perfect, but we're working on it, and we're honest about it, and we're growing together as a family, as a community, as individuals, as a couple. And when you can say that you're growing and you're constantly investing and making things happen, then that is where the beauty happens. I want to share with you guys a very important interview that we did recently with Liz Berge, who is a sister over in California. It's a very important interview about how this family, she and her family, changed their relationship, changed their dynamic, and are just on fire. I think this is a family that's truly learned how to break the ceiling for what's possible. I want to put that interview right down below in the link. Be sure to check it out. Also, if this video has been helpful for you, I would really encourage you to share it, and also you can give a like to it, hit the like button so that more people can find it, and also you can consider subscribing, because why not? This is the place for you. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless. Take care.